1. Hi, I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Okay, well, yesterday we had some fun. Maybe we poked some fun at how big data and artificial intelligence helped whoever makes Listerine come up with a fruity flavor and Snickers come up with a spicy flavor. I pointed out to you that why didn't they get Listerine a spicy flavor and Snickers a fruity flavor? There's no logic to it, except that data will tell you that Chinese consumers like fruity and spicy, and a lot of other people do too. So the other point that was missing in this article was that nobody said how any of this did. Nobody said, and they doubled the brand in China, or any conclusion whatsoever. It just said that they used data to come to some ideas to ideate. That's the new word I was looking for. Ideate. Okay, well, that's great. That doesn't mean anything. Okay, so anyway, let's close this one. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I can close it. I'm having trouble figuring out this. I got a new tool. Okay, so this was another article that came up this week, and it was why this Cisco marketer decided to cut event spending to hire data scientists. And he was talking about how he had to hire these data scientists because they had lots of data, and they were pretty good at storytelling, but they wanted to merge creativity and science in their storytelling efforts. Now that sounds like a recipe for disaster, or at least a good thunderstorm. To pay for it, he reduced his number of B2B events and partner marketing 20%. Now the trouble is that where are you going to go with this data? And the answer was, down here, he wanted to make IT sexy for the younger generation. This is how you go and wreck a company. I can tell you. There's somebody ought to shake this guy up and say, hey, are you nuts? Are you nuts? You're going to make Cisco routers sexy and not go talk to the people who actually work in IT and are behind and are going to get fired when their firewall goes down? This is a typical good example of insanity. Okay, so we go on. I got a big kick. I'll save it. I got a big kick over here out of this. There's another article. Where's the other article? Over here. This one I liked. How alcohol brands in Malaysia balance cultural sensitivity with sales revenue. Now it turns out that in Malaysia they wanted to celebrate Oktoberfest. Good morning, Keith. I'm actually watching the comments on Periscope. You can watch on YouTube or Twitch or Periscope, but if you watch on the YouTube or Twitch, I don't see the comments, if there are any. Okay, but I'm actually able to see them now. That's a new thing this week. Okay, so in Malaysia, they wanted to celebrate Oktoberfest. Singapore, big Oktoberfest. Of course, you know, there's a big German contingent there. I don't know if there's any Germans in Malaysia, but there are a lot of Muslims. Okay, now, so the country has laws against drinking if you're Muslim and if you're underage, of course, too. So they have to kind of dance around this, and they were trying to figure out how to do their marketing to encourage consumption without getting in trouble with the law. And I just thought it was a great article. It's up, oops, I don't know if it's up on Pocket. If you want to see the articles I reference, go to WDMA.org or ISSM.org, and you'll see the list of articles. I'm not sure if you can click through them directly unless you join something that it takes you to. So go and join that. Okay, so I just thought that was really a good picture, a little picture of how everybody likes beer, but not everybody can drink beer, and there's laws around beer, and this is what's happening. You know, we have to work with GDPR, and it's impacting us in ways that we never imagined, and you got to be creative. That's the bottom line of the whole thing. Okay, so back to this. Okay, so yesterday I also talked to you about this article, to unlock the potential of AI in marketing analytics. Go back to the basics. And what this guy says, and it's very, very perceptive, I really like this article, is basically AI is a means to an end. You know, every year or two we get buzzwords. This guy says it's in every conference, every panel discussion. How are you using AI? You know, I've been using AI for decades. Here's machine learning for you. Look, we'll make it big. This is a model that I built for the city of Houston, and it shows you how people did in every different kinds of description. And I'm not going to tell you how to read the model, but it's a big mess. It's all it is a huge mess. It's not going to work. That just tells you the correlations. It doesn't tell you which is spurious and which is crazy. Okay, so when you boil it all down, the AI craziness, there's a new tagline, okay, from the Oxford Future of Marketing Initiative. Teradata got a new tagline. It says, "Stop buying analytics. It's time to invest in answers." Yesterday, we're negotiating a contract, and the client says, "Well, what tools do you're giving us access to a dial-in machine, and you're going to give us counts and other information." I said, "Well, we're using old tools that you can't get anymore, and they work really well." "Well, we can't use old tools. We have to use new tools." Why? I don't know. So we're having this big, huge thing about whether they can have a machine on site, and if it uses old tools, it won't meet the specs of whatever. Now, never mind, they've been running on a machine that was invented in 1972 up until the last, couple of years. And there's still people running on that, too. Let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater, okay? Let's get answers. What we want is answers. One time, Intel flew a couple of people in, and they looked at our tools, and we were using Paradox at the time, and they looked at our tools, and they said, and it was a DOS app, okay? But it took over the screen, and it was colorful, and it looked nice. But they said, "Oh, that looks old-fashioned." And I had the IT guys spend a year converting to the Windows version of Paradox, which didn't work nearly as well. It was just a pain in the neck. It ran slow. It crashed all the time. It was terrible. And I did that because Intel flew in and said, "It looks old." Hey, let's not get too hung up on the tools. Let's get to the answers. How are we getting good answers? And you'll love my why mail, because it talks about the confusion of attribution and the manipulation of attribution, and how it's done because we don't use fundamentals. So this guy says, this is the fundamentals. If you wanted to think about market research, you'd think about a problem or a challenge in the business, translate it to a set of research questions, use research methods to collect data. The thing is about market research versus big data is big data. Generally, data is not collected for the question you didn't think of until afterwards. So Cisco has these questions they want answered, but the data wasn't generated for that. Whereas a market research project is designed to answer the question that you want answered. Big data, on the other hand, is just big. And you think, well, if there's that much data, there must be an answer somewhere. And it doesn't work like that. And this guy pointed that out in the beginning. If you were, or in the benchmark article I talked about this week, they said, now suppose someone asks for a benchmark, and you say, well, here's the average email open rate, and we're above that. Yeah, but is that for automotive? No. Is that for the state of Washington, or specifically Seattle? No. Is that for luxury cars? No. It's just a benchmark. There's always another question. My rabbi used to say, the question of a wise man is half the answer. But I say, for every good question, there's two good answers. And for every good answer, there's two more questions. Okay, so anyway, all this is about answering questions. And you want answers, not techniques, not tools. Okay? You can have all the tools in the world. Does that mean you can build anything? No. It does not. I can attest to that because my grandfather was a great carpenter, built houses. My father was pretty good with woods, and we had lots of tools, which we eventually sold on Craigslist. I had the tools, but I didn't have the know-how. Okay, so that's, now we're back to the basics. Oops, let's save it, sure. I got a call. I'm a little flustered today. I got a call from Jay Goltz. This is Jay Goltz, the Street Smart Entrepreneur. See that? And he's a good friend of mine. This is a great book. I want to encourage you. I'm sure it's on Amazon. I bought it. I read it. I got it all marked up. You can't see the markups because I tried to do that earlier, and I know they don't show up. But it's all marked up. And if you have employees, this is great. You know, he talks about simple things like, you know, when you take in $1, you don't get the dollar to spend. You got to cover all these other things. You get a couple of cents. Okay, so remember, it's all about, it's just tools. I might use different tools than you use. It's about answers. What we want is answers. And that's what AI is all about. And if that's not what you're thinking, then